Hi, it's Fraser Malcolm here, and I'm going to do a little video on basic pitching. A few of the kids in lockdown at the high school have requested that we do a few videos. Quite a lot of you were asking about pitching, so I decided to do the first one on pitching, and then we'll do a few on the other topics that you asked for as well. The basic pitch shot, if I just start with the clubs involved, put them around this way. So these are my wedges. I've got a 50 degree 8 degree bounce, 56 14 and a 60 10. Now 8 is the bounce figure on the 50. That is how much it slopes back and down from the front edge. So this is the front edge, that's the back edge. How much does it slope down is the bounce angle. And the bounce angle is basically like an anti-fat device. So when you hit down, because that back bit's lower, it tries to rise out of the ground again. So the more bounce it has, the less likely you are to hit it fat. It's still possible to hit it fat because you can do all sorts of funny things with your swing. But I would use this one with the lowest amount of bounce off a hard lie, where I wouldn't want it to, it's unlikely to dig in anyway because it's quite hard ground and you don't want it to bounce off the hard ground. So you'd use that maybe on quite hard lies, but generally I use the 56 for most of my pitching, which is anything from 30 to about 60 yards is a pitch shot. And you see that one's the most worn down because it gets used for bunkers, sand shot, sand shots, pitch shots, chipping, everything. So this has it's got a versatile club. So basic setup from the front on first of all, and then we'll do the side. So for a normal shot, you'd be here with your feet shoulder width apart, ready for power, ready for moving. But you don't want any of that when you're pitching. One of the biggest mistakes people make is to stand like it's a normal shot and then just try to reduce their swing power somehow, or slow down as they come into the ball. And you end up not creating the right impact position because of that, and it's really difficult to judge. So you immediately try to reduce the power of this shot by doing a couple of things. One is gripping about the middle of the grip, so leaving almost the same amount here free here as at the bottom. So I'll be there. Varies a wee bit, but that's generally the thing to go by. And then you would bring your feet from shoulder width and just inside shoulder width, and the ball should be roughly in the middle. And one of the things you need to do is bring the center of your chest just slightly forward, and that lets you hit down slightly and stops you thinning it. It's quite easy if you're just back here to then swing up too much and thin the ball. So this helps for you to hit slightly a descending blow. And then I've got a trick in the backswing which stops you from hitting it fat, so I'll talk about that in a minute, so you don't have to worry about the descending blow. Hand position should be just very, very slightly forward, either in the middle or just very, very slightly forward. You don't want a big loaded shaft lean, and you don't want to be over here too much. All you'll do then is just dig. You'll present that sharp leading edge, that spade edge to the ground, no bounce, and it will dig into the turf and you'll get really stuck, or you'll start lifting up out of it to compensate. So that's kind of the setup there, and a really soft grip again. All shots you should be soft. So if we look at it from this angle now, a little bit closer to the ball. You don't want to be a normal shot. I'd probably be there 3 or 4 inches above the knee that club goes down to, so I'm a little bit closer up. It's hit me a little bit higher up in the leg. And then the important thing here is you'd be parallel. If you go down, if I was going for that as the target, it's important not, even on a 30-yard shot you can get this wrong, where you aim slightly right of the target. Now if you aim slightly right of the target, you also want to swing back across yourself, which is steeper, which is down into the ground. It will also cause you to want to close the face, which presents the sharp leading edge to the ground and not the bounce, and digs like a spade. So you need to be careful that you're parallel left, and I've done a video on aiming which everybody should watch before they do any of this, to make sure that then the ball to target line is the one you're hitting down. There's no reason to swing across this way. You swing straight through to the target there. But the thing I wanted to show you here was just the fact that a normal shot would be feet sort of parallel left. This one, I'm just moving this one back a little bit and slightly splaying it out, and that's an open stance. Reason for that, on a full swing, your hips start in the middle, they turn back there for about 45 degrees, and as you go through the shot, this is in a textbook sort of swing, your hips by the time you hit the ball should be pointing slightly left of the target. Now, because you haven't got all that power going on in a pitch shot, your legs and body, it's tempting for them just kind of to be a bit too passive, and they don't do as much as you'd want them to do. You still want that impact position that would look like a full shot, similar anyway. So you have to preset it in pitching. So just to encourage that to happen, you do that little open stance move, and that gets the hips just already set for moving out of the way as you go through. So you're preset for that to happen. In terms of, that's probably all the setup stuff done. It's on to sort of swing length and swing technique now. So for a 50-yard shot, I use a 56 degree wedge, and I would encourage everybody to work out how far their halfway swing goes. And that's the reason these two flower pots are here, just to really show how that halfway back, halfway through swing works. So if I'm in a 56 degree, a 50-yard shot, take my 56 degree wedge and try to make my hands and arms to go back to halfway. There's not a lot of wrist action in there. I'm not thinking about setting this or anything else. It's quite passive there, soft grip, back to there, and then through to halfway. Now I've gone a little bit forward, a little bit up from halfway in the way through, but I'm trying to do that halfway back, halfway through swing for 50 yards at an even pace. You know, you can speed up and hit that hard further with that swing length, but I'm trying to, that's what practice does. You go and practice at an even pace at 50 yards using your halfway back, halfway through swing, and it gives you confidence, because when you arrive at a shot and it's around about 50 yards, it takes the stress off you thinking, well, oh God, I hope I get this on the green, I hope I get up and down, whatever it is. You're focused on technique. You're thinking about, okay, I've got to get my setup right, I've got to get my feet the right distance apart, slightly open, let's get the ball in the middle, let's get the centre of the chest ahead, right, I've done all that. And now all you're thinking about is, right, well, all I need to do now is achieve my halfway back, halfway through swing, and that's all I can do. Now, on the way back, when you're doing pitching, you want to think about a bit of a lack of body movement. So you're thinking about keeping quite stable in the backswing. So as you go back, it's mainly your hands and arms. You're not transferring your weight like you would at all in a full swing. You're staying centered. You've got the middle of your body slightly ahead, and you are trying to stay there. And then on the way through, it's about trying to turn through. The ball doesn't move with your arms. So that's important, and I'll just get onto that now. If I'm trying not to throw this at you, Lynn. If you give somebody a ball like this and get them to face you like that and say, I want you to throw it in a straight line in that direction from this position, that is all the information they need. Go back and they'll throw it like that. Now when they do that, they are moving their arms with their body. If I keep my body facing you and swing my arms, it will go left. You watch. I nearly hit the window. So that happens with your golf swing. If you're not careful, if the body stays still in the middle, so centered that way, the arms get forced that way, and that's why that ball went left. To make this ball go forward, I'm not going to throw it, but there, I need to go through with the club. And so, because you haven't got all the forces of a full swing, where you're coiled and you're poised and ready to go, that turning through with your arms happens a bit more naturally. I've just told you to stay fairly still, and that's to reduce the fact of the distance. You don't want this to go a long way, you want it to go about 30, 40, 50 yards. So you're staying fairly still on the way back. You still want your arms and body to match up and both turn through to face the target as you go forward. So you mustn't forget about that, and that's one of the key moves. Even on chipping, you get that. You've got to just turn slightly with your arms. If you let your arms run on without your body, you end up with this sort of move, and that is quite a shot which will thin it a lot of the time because the club's going up in the air too quick. So that's we've covered setup, basic setup. We've covered the swing length. Now, the swing length, if you're hitting less distance, try and adopt the clock face idea. I think if it has halfway back, but so that's more like 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock, whatever you want to call it. But you know, if it's 60 yards, you might think, well, I'm 10 o'clock, or if it's 30 yards, it's 7 o'clock. So I'm just hitting us. You're trying to regulate your backswing length and then still turn through it nicely. And it just takes a bit of practice, but you should go out and try to find swing lengths in your head that go a certain distance. And then you can see that when you get on the course, or if you've got a laser or whatever, you can zap it and see, oh, I've got 55 yards, so that's roughly a 50-yard shot. Take into account that the ball will run on a little bit, depending on if you're into the wind or whatever. You know, if it's a 50-yard shot to the flag, you don't want to land at 50 yards unless the green's extremely soft. You want to land it a bit less than that. So you've got to take all that into account. But it's good to have swing lengths that you feel quite confident go a certain distance. And you almost look forward to the shot in a way. You don't become scared of it. You think, well, I know what to do. I've got a plan here. You're not guessing. So that's swing length and swing. We've talked about moving through, facing the target, staying still on the way back. One of the things I was going to show you was this anti-fat device on the way back. So if I just grab a couple of balls here. On the way back, we want the club to get slightly what I'd describe as open on the way back. You don't want the face to be closed. So if I set up for a pitch shot and that face is now looking straight at the ball, if I take it back and keep it looking at the ball, that's closed on the way back. And what will happen on the way down is that leading sharp spade edge will be presented to the ground and will tend to catch it, dig and hit it heavy. So what you want to happen is for that face just to slightly rotate out or open out. So instead of being like that, it's there. If you look at it from this angle, that's closed and that's open. So I just, from the word go, the minute it starts to go, you just slightly let it turn. Just a little bit. It's not, you don't want it to let it turn away and hear anything like you're going straight back, but just letting it rotate a little bit. And that stops that leading edge being presented. It brings the club back down, and you can feel it when you do practice swings. If you open it, you'll skiff the ground, you'll just bruise the top of the ground and graze it, you won't dig. If I get that there, closed, I'm hitting down into it more. So that really does help along with the bounce for you not hitting it fat. And you will all get lies where it's muddy and wet or something like that. and you think, oh, this is guaranteed I'm going to hit this fat. Well, not if you use this method. If you can get good at staying nice and still, taking that straight back, opening, and just turning through with it, you'll be amazed at what good contact you can get off any lie. Thin, heavy, soft sort of grass, mud, anything. It's all doable. Or sandy as well as another one. It really helps that move. Even on full shots, that's what you're doing. If you watch Ricky Fowler and Justin Thomas, you know, part of their swing routine is they go back like that. They're checking that they're getting that club in the right position, that they're not closed, that they're not inside or away outside, but they're in where they want it, and that face will always be that kind of position. So that's kind of it. I'll just hit a few from this angle and side on, just to show you again the sort of swing we're looking for. And again, keep it a nice even pace here. Try not to get too speeded up and anxious. You keep everything soft and light, a little bit open stance, a little bit closer to it, and then just going back, opening the face and trying to do that. Oh, went in the flower pot. See if I can do that again. Back. No, not even close. Now in this one, just got to watch you don't hit it in the other garden. So just take it easy. I'm going back halfway and then through. Oh, the wind got it. It's alright. Backspin. And then another one. Just see the setup again. So hands, body slightly forward, a little bit open stance. Grip it down. Halfway, and then make sure you turn through with the club. Okay, well that'll do for pitching. If you've got any questions, you can put them in the comments and I'll get back to you. And other than that, I'll see you in the next video, which might be on shot making. I'll probably do it on that, so we'll see you then. Thanks.